So hello friends, till now on the Cmmi model 2.0, we have talked about multiple practice areas, process areas and all these things. Now next practice area which is very important is monitoring and control. Now the size of the video is going to increase because I will try to cover as much as I can. Okay, so monitoring and control, it provides the understanding of the project progress, so appropriate corrective actions can be taken when performance deviates significantly from the plans, increases the probability of meeting objectives by taking early action to adjust the significant performance deviations. These are the practices which are there, and it helps in tracking the progress. Typically consists of comparing the actual values to the planned value or the estimated value for the size, complexity, cost, quality, milestone, knowledge and skill, resources, stakeholders involvement, commitment, transition to operation and all that. And then if some corrective action has to be taken, then we have to revise the strategy for completing or accomplishing the task, updating the objectives, revising the plan, revising the estimate. All these things have to be done with respect to monitoring and control. Level 1 talks about the record task completion, very simple. Whatever tasks have been defined as a part of the task list, those tasks will be tracked. 1.2 talks about identifying and resolving the issue. So any issue which has to be resolved to prevent the uncontrolled cost and schedule creep, anything is there that will be addressed through this particular practice. So those issues have to be recorded. Action item list has to be prepared. 2.1 talks about track actual results against the estimates for size, effort, schedule, resource, knowledge, skill, and budget. Identify significant deviations so far effective corrective action can be taken, which increases the likelihood of meeting the project level objective. So here we record the associated contextual information, and then same cost, budget, effort, schedule, size, complexity, function, knowledge, skill, resources, commitment, all these things will be tracked with respect to planned and actual. So people, process, physical facility, all has to be provided with respect to resources. Actual versus estimate will be tracked, deviation will be tracked, status will be tracked, corrective actions will be taken, and the reports will be published. 2.2, it talks about involvement of identified stakeholder and commitment. Managing the stakeholder involvement is crucial and critical for the success of the work completion. So when you run a project or program, there will be multiple stakeholders. There will be customer, there will be end user, there will be management, there will be project team, there will be vendors, there will be suppliers, there will be government agency. All these stakeholders have to be managed according to plan and processes. Okay. Periodically, we have to review the record the status of stakeholders' involvement. If there are some issues, those have to be addressed and ensure that coordination actions are being taken. Here, as an outcome, recorded issue will be documented and actions will also be documented. 2.3 talks about monitor the transition to the operation and support. So, this monitoring of transition from operation to support will be done over here. So whatever transition is happening from the development design to development to the customer, that will be monitored and tracked. All these activities will be tracked, status reporting will be done, transition readiness report will be published, record the transition support reviews, and lesson learned report also will be published. 2.4 talks about the corrective action when the actual result differ from significantly from the planned result and manage to the closure. So here we are talking about the corrective actions that can increase the likelihood of that objective will be met. So here we collect and analyze the data, analyze and decide on the corrective actions to address this issue and manage the corrective action to the closure. So like this, there are monitoring and tracking issues, everything has to be done, status, person responsible for the action also will be tracked, corrective action planning will be done. Level 3 talks about manage the project using the project plan and the project progress that helps to ensure that necessary activities are performed, which reduces rework and improves the likelihood of achieving the objectives. Managing the project helps to understand how much time we have spent on various activities, how the tracking will be done, how the stakeholders are getting involved, and we have the high level metrics, measures, and status report. Everything will be recorded. 3.2 talks about managing the dependency. See, you are running a project or program, there would be dependency on the multiple groups and people. So those dependencies have to be tracked, critical dependencies have to be identified, and we have to record it. Monitor the work environment to identify the issues. The work environment has to be tracked, work environment, resources, physical factor, everything has to be taken care of. Safety, health, effectiveness, productivity, and everything that has to be tracked to ensure that objectives are being achieved and accomplished. So here we have to monitor, as I mentioned, safety, health, effectiveness, productivity, identify and record the corrective actions which are being needed and corrective actions which are needed for the work environment. 3.4 talks about manage and resolve the issues with the affected stakeholders. So any issue which is there, any issue related to resource, related to design, related to requirements, everything has to be tracked and tracked to the closure. So this was related to monitoring and control. Organizational training is another practice area which is fairly simple in my view. So very quickly we'll scan through. So develop the skill and knowledge of personnel so that they perform their roles and responsibility effectively. Enhances individual skill and knowledge to improve the organizational performance. So here major focus remains upon the training, skill development, knowledge development, technical skill, what resources we are going to provide for the training, what various methods, classroom training, electronic based training, workshop, guided self study, on the job training, all these things will be tracked as a part of organizational training program, which includes planning of the training, delivering the training, providing the training, keeping the records, maintaining the organizational set of records. Here training of the people will be done. 2.1 training need identification as per the organizational need. Here training will be conducted and we will need to maintain the record. 3.1 talks about the organizational strategic short term and long term action plan, training need, training requirements. Okay, enterprise level training, project level training, program level training, everything will get covered as a part of this, and final outcome will be our training needs. Here 3.2 talks about the coordination of the training and ensure that it's being delivered to the project and the organization. So here as an output we will get the allocated training needs and training delivery responsibilities. 3.3 talks about develop and keep updated and follow the organizational strategic and short-term training plans. It will ensure that personnel are being trained to enable them to efficiently and effectively perform their tasks. So here the focus remains on the strategic training plan, how the organization training will be delivered to meet the recorded long-term needs of the organization, various methods, prioritization, time frame, training topics, schedule, dependency, methods, standard of training material, training task, everything will be tracked, and then output we will be getting in organizational training strategic plan, organizational training short-term plan, long-term plan, and recorded commitment. 3.4 talks about the training capability to address the organizational training need, and that will ensure that personnel have the knowledge, skill, and ability to perform their work efficiently and effectively. So here training will be material will be developed, people will be trained through highly skilled trainers, then the material will be provided, resources will be provided, a list of courses will be published, training records will be maintained, and everything will be done. And 3.5 talks about assess the effectiveness of the organizational training. So here we get the feedback at the end of the training, and that includes the pre and post training assessment. Take the participant feedback, check the effectiveness of the each training program. Okay, whether the learners' objectives are being met or not, what type of training was given, how was the effectiveness, where are the improvement areas, about the course material, about the trainer, about the learning objective which was there, and then the effectiveness survey will be conducted, assessment will be done, analysis of the results will be done, instructor evaluation will be done, training examination will be performed, and all these things. 3.6 talks about record, keep updated, and use the organizational training records. At the org level, we have to maintain all the records of the participant, all the training, everything will be done. Next is peer review. So review is something which ensure that whatever deliverables team is working, it will be get peer reviewed or through subject matter expert to ensure that there are no defects or minimum defect in the deliverable. It helps in reducing the cost and rework by uncovering the issue and defects early at the stage of the project and program. So perform the review, plan the review, develop the procedure and support material for the review. What are the work product that will go through the review? What would the evaluation criteria? Who will conduct the review? What would be the steps? Then what is which work product will go through the review process? Then the review will be conducted. We will develop the schedule. We'll follow the procedure, and the checklist will be followed. If there are some findings, some issues are there that will get resolved, we have to work on that. Then we need to analyze the results and data from the peer review. We put under different category cause. We need to find out the trend. We need to conduct the causal analysis, common cause resolution. So that was about the review. Planning, we have seen the monitoring and control because we are going in alphabetical order. That's why monitoring and control we have covered earlier. Now we are talking about planning. Planning very simple. We have to have a budget, schedule, resource, quality, functional requirement, and we have to also track the risk and opportunity, what work we are going to perform, what are the dependencies, who will perform, and all these things will be covered, and it helps in optimization of cost, functionality, quality to increase the likelihood that objectives will be met. The planning includes developing the budgets and schedule based on the estimates, identify the appropriate set of stakeholder and tasks, managing the risk, determining the necessary resources, and developing and keeping the project plan updated to reflect how work is being performed. These are the various practices up to level 4. Planning 1.1 talks about the task of the list to be performed. 1.2 assignment of the people to the task and their tracking. 2.1 talks about how we are going to accomplish our task. So approach will be decided based on the our business consideration, objectives, strategy, and approach what we will follow to complete the task based on the requirement, project life cycle, what are the skills needed, resources needed, everything will get covered as a part of the planning. So as per the project objectives, we will decide on the multiple factors and planning will be done. So as an output, we will get the approach for accomplishing the objective and recorded the project life cycle. Then 2.2, we need to plan for the knowledge and skill needed to perform the work. So here it enables the efficient and effective accomplishment of the work. And then we need to ensure that all the tasks are being performed in structured way, systematic way, with the people having the knowledge and skill required. So they should have the technical knowledge, they should have the presentation skill, writing skill, all these the skill set which are required to execute the work is being documented as a part of this practice. 2.3 talks about the based on the recorded estimation, develop and keep the budget schedule updated. So whatever estimation we have conducted, we need to make the plan, identify the major milestones, schedule, identify the constraint, dependencies, resources, risk. We have to have the schedule, we have to have resource plan, budget and schedule risk. All these things will be done. 2.4 talks about the practice statement. So here we plan the involvement of the identified stakeholder. As we have seen, there would be multiple stakeholder as a part of the project. There would be customer, there would be users, there would be management, project team, supplier, vendors, government agency. For all of them, we have to plan their involvement, take their input, inform them on timely basis, involve their activities wherever required at multiple phases of the project. So we need to plan the involvement of each stakeholder and record when the involvement is required. At the same time, we need to work on the RASI table. RASI is your responsible, accountable, support, consulted, and informed. So, who will do what at the project level? So, list of the stakeholder and then their responsibility, their accountability, their support, their consultation, and information, everything will get covered as a part of this. 2.5 talks about the transition to operations and support to minimize the surprises and rework during the adoption and the deployment. So here planning for the transition should be considered, how we are going to transition the operation and support, and it will include that whether we are ready for the transition or not, how we are going to sustain the operation. All these things will be covered as a part of the transition. 2.6 talks about the planning plans, ensure that plans are feasible by reconciling available and estimated resources. So it increases the likelihood of that objectives will be achieved by ensuring that the needed resources are available and committed throughout the project life cycle. So here what we are ensuring that any changes in the plan has to be course corrected over here, reconciliation by modifying and negotiating the scope of the work with the multiple stakeholder. We need to readjust the required skill set, we need to revisit the plan. All these things will be done as a part of this particular practice area. 2.7 talks about plan development and ensure that consistency among its element and keep it updated. A consistent project plan helps to ensure efficient and effective communication and achievement of the objectives. So plan will address the planning and management of work activities and all these things, and then the list of schedule and activities will be prepared, develop the budget and schedule, resources, task and their interrelationship, roles and responsibility, identify the realistic performance data, objectives can be achieved or not. All this will be done as a part of this particular practice area. We have to have budget, we have to have schedule, milestone, risk, resources, skill, roles and responsibility in infrastructure, which is very important part, quality plan, measurement plan, data plan, monitoring and tracking plan, all will be part of this. staffing plan, stakeholder involvement plan, okay, solicitation plan, transition plan, configuration management plan, quality assurance plan. So it is an integrated plan which will cover the complete project management, project planning activities. Then we have to have the review of the plans and obtain commitment from the affected stakeholders. All the stakeholders, we need to define their roles, responsibility, involvement, at what stage they will get involved. Everything will get committed and planned. So it helps in reducing the rework, and likelihood of achieving the objective is increased through a consistent understanding and commitment to the plan. So this plan will be prepared, and that will record the commitments, and it will get the review and approval from the project commitment from the relevant stakeholder. 3.1 talks about use the organizational set of processes and tailoring guidelines to develop, keep updated, and follow the organizational processes. So here we are establishing the project processes with that ensure the efficient and effective achievement of the objective. So here organizational set of processes will be used to execute, to first to plan the project as per the organizational operational environment, business and environment, project constraint. All these things will get covered as a part of this. Then the standard processes will be selected to execute the project that best fit the need of the project, and then if some tweaking or tailoring is required, that will also get covered as a part of this process, this practice. 3.2 talks about development of a plan to keep it updated and using the project processes, the organizational process assets, and the measurement repository. Using the proven organizational assets for planning the project increases the likelihood that the objectives will be met. Here, it addresses the organizational learning and enhance the performance improvement by providing the proven assets to the project, which gives them the best chances for the success. So here your size, effort, cost, schedule, staffing, response time, supplier performance, all these things will get documented here. It will have an integrated plan. As I mentioned, it will have multiple plans: staffing plan, training plan, stakeholder involvement plan, measurement plan, monitoring and control plan, supplier agreement management plan, all these things. And every task will have some predefined set of entry and exit criteria, and we call it integrated plan because it is combination or some combination of multiple plans. 3.3 talks about identify and negotiate critical dependencies. So any critical dependency which is there with to reduce the risk, and that will increase the likelihood of success of the project. So that critical dependency has to be identified, documented, and proper risk contingency and mitigation has to be prepared, plan has to be prepared. 3.4 talks about plan for the project environment and keep it updated based on the organizational standard that ensure that the resources needed to complete the task and work are readily available to maximize the productivity. So here all the required resources, tools, health and safety consideration, regulatory requirement, legal requirement, support needed, and all these things will be done. 4.1 talks about uses of statistical and other quantitative techniques to develop and keep the project process updated to enable the achievement of quality and process performance. How it helps, because highlighted in green because it's considers the benefit, increases the likelihood that the processes of the project will enable the achievement of the consistent and performance and the quality. So that will ensure that project has the processes identified to accomplish the objective task. Baselining will be done, metrics, baselining, their objectives, target, everything will be done. And then the criteria to achieve those objective, quality and process performance of objective, baselining, which life cycle model we are going to use. All the details will be captured and covered as a part of this particular practice area, which is at level 4. So this was all about few of the practice area, including project planning and organization training, and everything will be done. In the next video we'll start with another uh, practice area called process asset development.